Hi guys, I'm Devin and this is Devin Reads Books. Welcome back to my channel. My second and Charles is doing a penny a page sale here in 2 weeks, the 29th. So that's right before Old School April. So I need to get some trade-in value. And so today we're going to do an unhaul. Now, most of these books are books that I bought intending to read, and I'm just probably never getting around to them. Some of them are books that I'm just going to get on my Kindle, be a little cheaper, not take up as much space. I do need to create more room kind of on the library shelves in general, and one section of this video in particular is gonna be a pretty nice dent. But we're gonna start off with some YA fiction, and that is City of Bones and Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. And these are both books that I am still interested in reading, but I'm just going to get them on my Kindle. The next time there's a big Kindle sale, they're taking up a lot of, not a lot I guess, but a decent amount of real estate. And there are just other YA books and series that I want to read. I just keep not reading these. Honestly, when I finish, not Siege and Storm, what is it? Throne and Rising, the third book in the Shadow and Bone series, I'm probably going to sell that trilogy too and just make some room. I've heard just about nothing but good things about both of these. This one, Clockwork Angel, is actually a prequel series technically, but they're both book ones, so I decided to get both, and I could probably do a video on it, on both of these books. Just read like book one of this main series and the prequel, and I will eventually, but these editions are getting taken to Second and Charles for sure, so I can get some trashy 80s horror books. We're gonna do that later. The next one, actually, I'm gonna do two again. These next two are books that I was interested in reading in order to step out of my comfort zone. I tend to read, like most people, I would argue, the same couple genres, and every now and then I'll kind of step out into a classic or into a contemporary fiction. And that's kind of what both of these books were. I keep saying both, but we're gonna look at them individually here. The first one is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. And again, the main reason that I am not going to hold on to it, I think, is I read so little outside of my genres that I don't think I'm ever going to get to it. Even when I do step out of my genre, it tends to be nonfiction or classics. Modern fiction tends to not do it for me. So, 7 Days to Fall in Love, 15 Years to Forget, and 7 Days to Get It All Back Again. Kind of focuses on one character, Ava, and Shane, and they met unexpectedly, sparks fly, and then they kind of run into each other again, from what I understand. And it's supposed to be this really kind of brilliant story about how life works out sometimes, kind of centered around these two's relationship, but I just don't think I'm ever going to get to it, and I could definitely use the shelf space, because horror is taking over. I'm going to have to tier it, and I put it in another shelf. We're going to do a library tour here before too much longer. I have a little bit of work to do, but back to the main point of this unhaul. The next book, I should really say, is just on the chopping block. I may be holding on to it still. And honestly, I may just trade in this edition and get the nicer one. And that is Lessons in Chemistry. So I have the blue sprayed edge Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, but they released one in the States that has better sprayed edges. It had like the periodic table sprayed edges, and I really wanted that one. So I may still try and get a copy. This one is about a chemist who, she kind of, in the 1960s, is part of an all-male team, and then she ends up getting this kind of cooking show, and she tries to kind of combine them in a way, but it's more than that. She is trying to really break out of that 1960s woman in the home depiction and break out of that stereotype in a revolutionary way. And it's kind of funny, a little bit of that social commentary of just kind of breaking out of the chains of the time. And it's just, the whole cast is good. This is another book that I've heard nothing but good things about, and I just have not gotten to it. I just haven't read it because I am too busy trying to get through my pile of R.L. Stine or new YA fantasy like Breath of the Dragon, and it just keeps getting kind of kicked around. So I will say this one is on the chopping block. This exact version is probably getting traded in, but I will probably audiobook it. I will probably consume it in some variety still. If I don't just go and get the cooler sprayed edge version. I was so miffed when that came to my store because I was working at the bookstore at the time. I was so miffed when I saw that come through because I really wanted that one. The Waterstones edition had that. It wasn't necessarily a sprayed edge, I don't think, or maybe it was just the UK edition. I don't remember. But the cover was like the periodic table and not this pink. And I don't hate this cover, but that one was a lot cooler. Moving on. The next book I did a review on in another video, and I just didn't care for it, and that's a big part of the reason here. And that is Wilderness Reform. This is just on the chopping block. It didn't live up to what I was hoping it would. It was kind of, the storytelling was a little fractured. Some things just went nowhere. The characters did not felt very flat. It felt like a church kids version of what delinquents were like. Nothing about it felt natural. There's no real payoff to the ending when you get the big reveal or the twist. It didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me, and I'm never gonna reread this. I don't even know if I would audiobook it. So I'm definitely going to trade this in and try to grab something that I would read. Kind of the same vein on the next book, not quite as harsh, but that is, the next one is Eruption by mostly James Patterson, by finishing Michael Crichton's notes. I didn't hate this, and I do have the audiobook, and I want to give it another try that way. I read it, and I didn't love it. It felt like it was not the best Michael Crichton and not the best James Patterson. It felt like the worst versions of both of their styles. You could definitely tell the bones were there for a Michael Crichton story, and James Patterson characters were fleshed out. There was a lot of connection. I just don't think the overall plot and the structure and the way it just constantly bounces around, I don't think it worked very well. It was very clear that the notes had come from Michael Crichton, and then James Patterson had just kind of picked them up and tried to do his best, and I just don't think it worked very well. I give it a 3-star, I think. I don't think it's a bad book by any stretch of the imagination. I think there are a lot of people that would really like this. But as someone who likes both Michael Crichton and James Patterson a lot, it just missed for me. It just felt like a miss. It was a great attempt. I'm glad it happened. I will probably go through the audiobook this year. But I'm definitely not going to reread it. So we're going to take a second to Charles. Okay, so the next group is probably going to ruffle some feathers. That is partially because it is all manga and 2 light novels, and partially because of what manga it is. But we're going to start with the light novels. And they are The Melancholy and The Sigh of Haruhi Suzumiya. So this is the original, well, I guess not original, but like the 2005 version. And then this is the newest current line of what the books look like. And I don't think it really represents what the books are about in any way. Haruhi Suzume is a weird series to describe because on one layer there is this kind of slice of life anime manga vibe to it, where Kion is just kind of this sarcastic guy and Haruhi is this like larger than life girl who kind of believes in aliens and vampires and all these weird things, and starts this club that she ropes him into where they just kind of go to look after all these things and expose it. And it's really character driven and character focused, and all these weird things happen, and it's not really slice of life. It's kind of slice of life. It's one of those weird series where it's a little bit of an amalgamation, and I did really enjoy it. I just don't read a lot of light novels or manga anymore at all. And we're going to kind of get into that because I have another series that might be on the chopping block soon, even though I'm really enjoying it, because it's so slow for me to actually read any of these things. Not that the manga is slow, or the series, or the story, or any of that is slow. It's just such a small priority. It's a small segment of what I actually read that I kind of just want to make room. So those are the two light novels. I think at this point the only light novels I have left are it's just my Log Horizon light novels, and I won't get rid of those. I love Log Horizon. The next one is just one volume. Just one volume. And I do want to say that this is not because I'm not enjoying it in any way. It is, again, only because of the time and the commitment to like collecting individual volumes of manga. And that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Book 1 of the Phantom Blood arc. I really did enjoy it. I really loved this. In fact, now I'm questioning whether or not I'm going to get rid of this. It's so fun. JoJo's in general is so weird. Every different series follows a different member of the family, but they almost all go by the name JoJo. And this series is so strange because the structure just changes. It goes very serious, and then it hops around to these weird jokes. The art is great. The Phantom Blood arc in particular has like a vampire. It's so strange but fun at the same time. It's very hard to put down. See, it says JoJo because it's Jonathan Joestar, the Joestar family. But I don't know. I've had this for like 2 years and I never picked up volume 2. So at this point, am I going to pick up volume 2? I don't know. Am I just going to buy more Fear Street? I'll probably just buy more Fear Street and more Nightworms books and more books on dinosaurs and never actually get to this. Although Dio Brando is one of the best villains of all time. It's so diabolical to put the dog on his shoulder in this picture. And you're going to have to read to find out why. But I am getting rid of this copy. Alright, so the next one I think is what is going to ruffle the most feathers here. And I want to be clear that I'm probably still going to read the series. I will probably just do it from Kindle, or get the new versions. But I think I'm going to trade in. Oh my god, some of these are upside down. That is going to bother me. Okay, they're just all out of order. No, not anymore. But I'm going to trade in my 5 volumes of Vinland Saga. One, this should get me a decent penny to put towards trashy vintage horror books. But also, I've had these for 2 or 3 years, and I have never picked it up. I have never tried to read it. I have such limited time and such a decent sized library that I'm very grateful to have. A decent video game collection that I'm very grateful to have. That manga is just so low on the priority list. And I could use this money to get more secondhand books. Vinland Saga is great. I mean, I've watched a lot of the anime. Like, it's spectacular, and I'll probably continue watching the anime, especially if I get rid of these. It is such a good story based around this character right here, Thorfinn. I gotta hold it all weird. In his life and everything he goes through after his father dies, I don't even know how to describe it. After his father is killed by Vikings he used to raid with because he wanted to live a life of peace. And it's kind of Thorfinn's own struggle with wanting revenge on that person for his father and wanting to live out his father's message of having no enemies and just having a life of peace and focusing on his family and his community and his friends. And there's, I think, 13 volumes of this size, but they recently started putting out the deluxe edition volumes, which are much bigger, and I think there's only going to be like 6, so I might still get those instead. These editions are going the way of the dodo, so I can have more money. Finally, I have one book that is a maybe, and the reason I say it's a maybe is because I might just read the last 2 books on my Kindle. I haven't decided because I really, really enjoyed this book, and I try not to trade in any book that I am at least somewhat confident I will probably reread. And I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence with this because I think it is something I could absolutely reread a couple years from now and enjoy just as much, if not more. And that is The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I love this book. I've talked about it in another video. I thought this book is spectacular. I'm probably going to read the sequel this year. I just can't decide if I'm going to trade this copy in and do that on my Kindle digitally or keep this copy and just kind of keep on with the physical. And part of what's driving that is I don't have a very large sci-fi section. I don't read a lot of sci-fi. It's very small. About half of it are just old, used David Weber paperbacks for the Honorverse. So if I start weaning that down even more, it would all just be those old vintage paperbacks. And I could go both ways with that. I could live with that and then put all my paperbacks on my spinner shelf, which would be kind of cool. Or I could just keep it and just kind of expand, have like half my sci-fi shelf be normal books and then the other half is dual layered. I don't know. I haven't decided. But guys, that is everything I'm going to take to Second Charles probably this weekend so I can go and hopefully get in on the penny per page sale. They're usually pretty packed whenever they do a sale like that. But I haven't been there in a while, so I want to see if they have some vintage teen horror. I want to see if they have some vintage Dragonlance or Ravenloft or any of the old D&D books. Novels. I don't need any more RPG books. I got a whole Foot Locker of collectible RPG books. There's this weird pilgrim horror series. I don't know how to describe it really, that I keep seeing there. It's like they have 3 books and no one, it seems to be picking them up. If they're still there, I'm probably going to grab them this time. And then I think, other than that, I just want to kind of see if they have any other vintage sci-fi or anything. That would be really cool. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. Those are the books I am getting rid of. This video has been going on too long. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.